Hi, this is Karen with Can't Stop Stampin' with Karen, and today I'm going to show you this really cute little card that we made Saturday at my Stampin' Go class. I really like this card for beginners because you don't need a lot of equipment, you don't need a big shot, you don't need dies. You do need a background paper, some cardstock, ink, and some stamps. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to show you is the stamp set that we use, and it's called You've Got This. And it is a 2 stamp set, which is available right now in the 2015-2016 annual catalog. During the video, you might want to write down my blog address because you'll be able to see a listing of all the materials that we used. And there is a catalog that when you click on the picture, it'll take you to a PDF catalog where you can see everything that's in the new catalog. The next set we used on that card was A Dozen Thoughts. This is also in the brand new catalog. It's an older set, but it's really a good one. It has a lot of different sayings for a lot of different occasions, and all of these would work really well in this card design that we're going to do today. First of all, I took my stamp set, the You've Got This. I took my flower. And I also took You're in My Thoughts from A Dozen Thoughts, and I mounted them on my block. One of the girls that comes to my Saturday class on a regular basis got the idea to use washi tape to stick it to the block, because unless your stamps are like perfectly clean and your blocks are perfectly clean, sometimes they don't stick very well. Other demonstrators have shared tips to use some Tombow glue, your tape runner, glue dots, that type of thing to stick them to the block. But all of that leaves a residue and over time will ruin the label that's on your stamp. And the washi tape is just sticky enough to make that stamp stick but not ruin your stamp, and it doesn't leave a residue on the block either. So your block is really easy to clean. And the way I did this was I just took a little piece and rolled it to make it double-sided, put that on my stamp, stuck it to the block, and as you can see, that's not going anywhere. It's really good too when you want to keep doing the same design a lot of times for either invitations or you want to make a bunch of cards at once and maybe just change out the sayings. So I really like that, and Stephanie, that was a really good tip. Even though you don't remember it, she didn't remember thinking that up. But I always give credit where credit is due. So the next thing I did was I stamped my flower with the Tip Top Taupe that is one of the brand new in colors for 2015, and that'll go all the way through 2017. It matches up really nice with Crumb Cake and Sahara Sand, so you're not using the exact same color anywhere. You get a little bit more dimension and a little bit more interest using multiple colors that all go together. The style today is monochromatic because we are using all shades in the same color. After I stamped my flower, I took a pair of scissors and I cut this out. You don't have to do it perfectly because no one's going to know if you make a mistake. Even though there really are no mistakes, there's just different ways of doing things. And I found it's pretty easy to cut out if you cut off the big hunks first, and then you go back and you kind of clean it up later. Along this edge, there's a lot of little ups and downs and dips and stuff. You don't have to get every single little peak and valley in there. You can just kind of do a little bit of an outline around the edge. Leave a little bit of the white show it'll just help that stand out a little bit better when you are putting that on the front of your card. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Most people aren't even going to know if you didn't do it perfect, because they're going to be so surprised that they got a handmade card and they wouldn't even know where to start. So I'm just going around and making sure that I get the whole thing cut out. And I'm going to end up going back and finishing off that side. Also on my blog, you'll be able to find out how to buy kits to make the cards. You're going to get everything that you need, the cardstock, all the paper products that you need. The only thing you'll need to add is your adhesive, glue dots, Stampin' Dimensionals, but everything paper will be available in a kit for you to purchase, and then you can come back and watch the video and make it with me. So I'm just going to cut off the ones where they're really pointy, unless it's supposed to be really pointy. But you can see how beautifully that turns out just using your scissors. Then I used a background paper. This is from our Neutrals Designer Series paper stack. You get a bunch of different colors. You get 4 sheets of each color in the neutral collection, and there's 4 designs. They are double-sided, so you'll get 2 sheets with this design and the design that's on the back, and then there's 2 more designs where you'll get 2 sheets, and you have 1 design on each side. I attached that with my snail adhesive. You don't need a lot of adhesive when you are attaching items to your card. A lot of people use way too much adhesive, and they use a lot, and their adhesive tends to not last. And it is frustrating, especially when it's so expensive to buy adhesive. I think that's the most expensive part of making your own cards, but it's still cheaper than buying them at a Hallmark or Target, any of the chain stores. So I cut this. It's from an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. I cut it at 5.5 along the 11-inch side, and then I scored it on the 8.5-inch side at 4.25. This is an A2 card, and it'll fit in a lot of the envelopes that you can find at a local craft store, or you can order the envelopes from me as well at my blog. And I'll just show you a little bit about taping, how much you need or don't need. You just really need to make sure you get it in each of the 4 corners. And I just put like a little strip down the middle. That way I know it's getting held all over. If you were going to do a watercolor type technique or something like that, you may want to use a little more tape to hold it down, because the paper curls and you want it to look flat. Then I attached my flower using Stampin' Dimensionals, and this is another product that Stampin' Up! Sells. Normally I cut these in half, but the flower is pretty big, so I want to make sure that I have enough on there, to keep it looking pretty when you send it through the mail. And you get 100 dimensionals per sheet and 3 sheets per package. And there's lots of places where you can even cut up the edges and really get a whole lot more out of this product. So I really like it. I like the thickness of it. I like that it's easy to cut, and they're permanent. They pretty much stick forever. I attached my flower to the front first because when I put the sentiment on, I would like it to kind of stand a little bit behind my flower so that my flower is in the foreground. And I forgot to take off my backing on my adhesive, my Stampin' Dimensional. Look at how pretty that is. Very easy for anyone. After that, I stamped You're in My Thoughts on a little rectangle, and then I cut a rectangle of the Sahara sand to back that with, and I cut it 1/4 of an inch bigger on the side and the top, and that gives you a nice little even border. Then I attached the You're in My Thoughts with my snail, and I put it a little bit behind the flower just because I like the way that looked, and it does add a little more interest, and especially if you're a beginner, you're getting a really wow look, really simple. So on the inside, one of the ladies that came Saturday wanted an inside that was blank so she could write her own message in. So we went with that. We thought it was a great idea. And I took a strip of the paper, the Designer Series paper stack, that matched the front. And I'm just going to use that to decorate my piece of cardstock that we're going to put inside. I put my strip on first because if it goes over a little bit, you can always trim it with your paper snips. And again, you don't need a lot of tape. And if you don't use a lot of tape and you find you put that on wrong, a lot of times you can get it up and get it right back on without doing damage to the base piece of cardstock or the designer paper. And then another thing to just remember when you're putting in your insides, whether you're stamping it or putting in a whole piece, is make sure that it is right side up and it is on the side that you want it to be on. I don't know how many cards I've done where they open from the wrong side, and I just use them for samples so people can see how to make different cards. So this is the card, and I did do a decorated envelope, which I'm going to show you, and I'll show you how to do envelopes at a different time, but I did cut a liner, and this paper goes with the flower very well, and I stamped the flower on it. And I only used a little bit. You can't be afraid to stamp over the edge because that just adds another unique feature to your projects. And then on the front, I stamped it and I just left a little bit of the stem and the leaf. But you can see when people get this, how pretty that's going to be in the mail. And they're going to want to open up your card and see what you wrote pretty much right away. So that's it for today. Remember to visit my blog, and if you like what you saw and want to learn more, subscribe to my channel, and whenever I post a new video, you'll find out about that in your email. And I hope I inspired you today. Thank you for watching.